Hello everyone. We're going to be creating a website in Dreamweaver CC, and we're going to do that step by step. In this particular video, we're going to review how to create a workspace for the files so that you can manage your work more easily and transfer it from device to device without having too many problems. The first thing we want to do is make sure we have Dreamweaver open, as you can see here in this window. Next, you'll be needing a panel here on the right called Files. If you don't see it somewhere here on the right hand side, you can go to Window and select it from the list that's available over here. So anytime you need a panel open, you can usually find it over here. In the Files menu, there are a couple of ways of doing this. You can click on Manage Sites, or you can click the little drop down here and click Manage Sites there. Whichever way you prefer, it leads you to the same place, so it shouldn't be a problem. Click here to manage the sites. So the first thing we want to do is create a workspace for the site that we're about to begin. Whether you have the files already and they exist and they're sitting somewhere on your hard drive or on a thumb drive somewhere, it's the same process. If it's a brand new site and no files exist, this is probably the first step you want to take to make sure that any subsequent files that you create end up in the proper folder so that all the relative links between all the files work well. So the first thing we want to do is click down here in the bottom right corner, New Site. Here you can give it a name, something that you'll remember and is easy to identify. First website. And in the local site folder, if you already have existing files, you should probably link to the folder they're contained in. And if this is going to be a brand new site, you should create a new folder where all the subsequent files will be able to be saved. So I already have a folder with some files in it, so I'm going to browse for this folder. So I'm going to go to my documents. I'm going to find my CSS layout folder, which contains my files. And that's good enough. That's really the path we need. We'll select this folder. And we can see that this path is repeated over here just to make sure. For now, we don't need to look at the other ones. You know, servers would be for setting up file transfers to the web server. We'll probably look at that at another in another video when it comes time to transfer the files. Version control and advanced settings, again, we'll look at those in another video. For now, we just want to get our workspace set up so we can start creating some files. So let's just click Save over here, and let's click Done. But before we do that, you'll notice a couple of icons over here. If ever you need to change the location of your files or edit some information, you can do that over here by clicking the little pencil icon. And you can perform some other functions over here with these icons. We'll look at those at some other time. For now, let's get started with our work. Click on Done. And you'll notice over here in the Files panel, we no longer have a view of just the plain old computer. Now we're focused specifically on the folder that contains our files. You can move these little lines over here so that you can see the file names more clearly. If you hover your mouse over the root folder over here, you can see where your files are saved. If you ever don't remember, you know, after a little while, where your files are saved, you can hover over here and always be sure you're working in the right folder. And over here now you have a couple of options. You can create new files and new folders right away, or you can do that from here in the window. I already have a layout set up over here, which I'll be working with to demonstrate how to import Google fonts. If you don't have a page or anything yet, you can create a new one here. New document, HTML, etc., HTML5, and create. And what happens is when you save that, it will go into this particular website that you've defined. Now, the reason why you want to do this is because your files are going to be linked to each other, and you want to make sure that when you transfer your files to another device, or if you're moving them around, you want to make sure that the relative links stay together, and you're not going to basically break any links to images or other files. All the moving parts of your site move together so that they continue to operate properly. I'm going to go ahead and open this file now. Here we go. And it's just got some plain text in here, which I've prepared for formatting. I usually work in split window mode, so in the top you'll have your visual reference that you can work in, and down here you have access to the code, which sometimes is necessary to perform certain tasks. First thing I want to do is define the structure of my content. For example, right now it's all just plain text in here. And what I want to do is start adding some proper tags. For example, this is heading 1. I want to make that heading 1. And to do that, I would click down here in the properties bar and select heading 1 from that list. Now what that does is it creates an H1 tag instead of a P tag around the heading. So that's what we're looking for. Another way of doing it is, of course, by hand. You could just replace these tags with HTML that's appropriate. And if you don't see that properties bar at the bottom or somewhere on your screen, again, you can access it by going to Window, Properties, second one from the top. Here it is. Next thing I want to do is maybe define this as a heading 2. There you go. Select. Go here, the list, heading 2. Nice and easy. It's like using Microsoft Word at this point. It's not that hard. And again, if you feel like coding this, it's not a huge challenge, and practice is always good if you're starting off. The rest you can leave as is with just paragraph text. As you can see here, this is just plain old paragraph text wrapped with P tags. So let's go to Google and pick up some fonts that we can use to format this. First thing we want to do is make sure we have our tags redefined. And what does that mean? It means that here in our style sheet, this is an internal style sheet, we want to modify the style that heading 1 uses. Okay, so we need to create an entry for that we can use to override with Google Fonts. There's a couple of ways of doing it. You can obviously do it by hand by just typing in and redefining those tags. So you can say H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, oops, and H6, and we'll leave that open for now. A little curly quote there, curly bracket. And what this does is we'll redefine everything, all the headings that are available in our document, and assign a new style to them. So that's one way of doing it. You can do it by hand. Another way of doing it would be by going to your CSS Designer. Again, a panel that you can use to activate through the window. And what you can do here is add a selector and enter the values there. So H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6, and press enter. And now again you have access to a more visual approach to modifying your headings. if we look at the code, it really just recreated exactly what we had done previously. So there's more than one way of doing things in Dreamweaver, whichever way is more comfortable for you. There's even a third way of doing this, and again, you go down to your properties bar down here. If you click on page properties, it'll pop open this window over here, and you'll notice that there's a little list over here on the left. You can click on headings, and now you can completely redefine you know, your headings, etc., different sizes, colors, and styles. And again, all it does is it just creates this entry here that allows you to enter the codes. Alright, so once we have that in place, let's go ahead and visit Google to pick up some fonts. And let's go to fonts.google.com. And here we can browse the hundreds of fonts that Google has available for us to include in our document, which will be loaded dynamically from the Google server whenever the page is loaded. So let's find something nice for the heading font. You know, it's easy to spend a bit too much time here. So let's find something. Here's one, Fiala 1. That'll be our heading font. So this is a nice font for headings. We'll just click the little plus button over here, and it'll end up in our bin. So we're going to keep going and find something nice for our body text. Cabin looks good. Let's use that for our body text. So let's add that to our bin also. Great. So Google is telling us we have two families selected, one for our headings, one for our body text. You can continue to add more if you want to have you know, if you have different needs for your page, but usually two fonts on a site are enough, you know, 3 max, otherwise it starts looking a little too Mickey Mouse, and we want our stuff to look professional. So once you have your font selected, click the bin, little gray bar over here, and it opens up this window. There are a couple of things we can do here. Confirm that we have the 2 fonts that we want selected, yes. Next we want to embed these fonts on our page. And you just follow the instructions, you know. The first thing you want to do is copy this link, this little snippet of code over here, and put that into the head of your document. All right? So let's start with that. Let's just grab this, copy it, return to our document, and when it says insert it into the head of your document, it means that you have to find your head tag in the code and insert it, you know, even a bit after is fine, but ideally, you know, between the opening and closing of the head tag. Also be careful not to stick it in the middle of your style sheet, because that's going to break things for sure. So you can space these out if you need to, and you can put it right there. So step 1 is done in the head tag, and we'll switch back to here, specifying in the CSS. This is where we would redefine our actual fonts. So this is our heading font. We just grab this little piece of code over here, copy that. Now we would find our heading entry over here, selectors, paste it in, and by doing that, there you go. We've created that connection between Google and our document by adding in our link. So now our document is pulling in those fonts, and we're actually telling our page which fonts to change in the CSS. So next we want to change the body text on our page. And for that, again, we have a variety of ways of doing it. If we use code, we could just say, we'll just redefine the body tag. Now remember, the body tag is basically here in your HTML document, It's where all your content lives and what everybody sees on your page. So if you redefine a tag for the body tag, it's a global change. So it's almost like a default. You're assigning a default value for a tag that affects the entire page. So I could say body, open and close. That's prepped for the next link we're going to paste in. Switch back to Google, grab that second entry over here. Now go back to your document and insert a new font family that's going to override the default for your body tag. And if we click here, again, now we see how it's made an impact. Now these aren't the actual fonts we've chosen. This is just a bit of a preview in our visual view in Dreamweaver. To see the fonts in action, click the little drop down here in the top left and select live. And now there you go, Dreamweaver will pull in those fonts from Google and actually render them on our screen. And you can see how, you know, heading 1, heading 2, and if we go down the list, heading 3, etc., would pull in this font, while our body text is something else. So that's it in a nutshell. If you want to continue adding fonts or changing fonts, it's pretty much, you know, the hard part is over now. You would return to Google Fonts, maybe find something else. So let's say I like this one. Be careful because you have to do the 2 steps also. Look what happens here. If you add a third font, it changes the entry here in the first link by adding that extra font, lobster, that we just chose. So make sure you copy that link over again and rewrite that one, delete it, and enter the new one. There you go. Now we have that new entry in there. And now you see that third font. You can grab this, copy that line, and use it to replace the headings. So if you're not sure, here's a cool trick. You can use a comment to remove something without deleting it. So select the text you want to hide, and from here on the left, you can apply a comment. So if you apply a CSS comment here, it'll add some snippets of code, specifically a little /* and a */ at the beginning and at the end, respectively. And what that does is it disables this line of code from your CSS. It's still there if you ever need it, but it doesn't affect the document anymore. It's useful because if you're not sure about something, you can leave it in. And now when I paste in my new font, I can say, oh yeah, okay, this is something more like it. If you change your mind later on, you don't have to go through that process. The code is already there. You can just reactivate it. So you can say, okay, well, I want to try the other one. Select the current one, apply a comment to that, and now select the previously commented one and uncomment it by clicking this little button here, remove comment. Or you can just manually remove the / and the star. So if I click there, it automatically removes it, and now I can test the other one. So little tricks like that to help you just get through the beginning of a document. Understand exactly what's going on here. If I click on the files folder, there's my file, latest update, etc. If I need to package this, if I need to grab it and move it to either my thumb drive because I'm going to the office or I'm going to class or something, I want to make sure I don't just grab the files I need. I want to make sure I grab the entire folder. So the entire folder is located here, particularly for me, the folder that I created. If I, let's see if I can browse, I can explore, here we go, right click, and it'll take you right to that folder by right clicking here and selecting explore. If you're on a Mac, there's a very similar feature. I think it might be called show in Finder. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty confident that's what it is. and it'll take you to the file that you have over here. Now, as your document gets more and more advanced, you're going to have images in this folder, you'll have additional files, you might have external style sheets once your site gets more advanced, and all of this ends up living in a folder called CSS Layout. So when the time comes for you to transfer your work, don't sit there trying to figure out and remember, oh, I need this file, I need that file, doing everything piecemeal. Go one folder above, say, okay, here's my CSS layout. Everything is in here that I need. Copy this entire folder, throw it on your thumb drive, put it on your cloud storage, wherever. It's just easier to grab one file and know everything is in it rather than sitting there trying to figure out what you need from all these different files. In future videos, we'll be exploring this concept again. Just wanted to make sure you understand why it is that we created that file package in Dreamweaver so that you can work in that workspace. Tune in again, and we'll have some more videos coming up with more advanced stuff and some goodies to play with. Talk to you soon.